did not get invited to the event.
Oh.
So it was like, you're good enough for online, bro. And I was like, oh, it was like one of my first rejections when I was still freelance.
There you go.
Yeah.
Dracus, what's your story?
Oh, dude. My story is very grindy and not as nearly as aspirational as the two of you.
I mean, yeah. Right? We also grinded. I just want to say we also worked hard.
Oh.
I didn't mean to react to I was say we also grinded.
Way out.
No. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that.
You worked hard. It's just like, you guys all
to the grind part.
I had a lot of lateral movement because I applied to be a shoutcaster with Riot around the era where Zyrene got hired. I applied in that like same era of hiring, and I put like 20 hours into my cover letter and application, and like 30 minutes into my shoutcasting sample. Really good letter. To this day, proud of that cover letter, proud of that application. Shoutcasting sample, the worst piece of garbage I have ever let any human being look at. So my priorities were a little backwards. I was a little young and stupid. Gave up on shoutcasting for a bit, started writing articles, started doing graphic design, was a talker, got on a podcast. Via that podcast, met someone who gave me an opportunity to shoutcast, kept casting, worked a job while casting, so I had this ridiculous schedule where I'd work at a coffee shop from like 6 a.m. to noon, go home for like 5 hours of free time, and then cast the LJL, like nap, cast the LJL from like 11 o'clock to 5 a.m., and then go to work and repeat the cycle again. It was a good time. I remember those days fondly. Eventually cast like an AM. Eventually Deficio noticed me there, and he goes, man, this guy's a trash color caster, but he doesn't look bad on camera, and he's got a nice voice.
That was actually pretty much the summary he gave me.
I know it because he reminds me every time I talk about my origin story at all. He's like, yeah, I remember you not looking bad and sounding good. You said a lot of dumb stuff, but you know, it worked out okay. So yeah, I got my start. Here I am, years later, sitting at a desk with you three gentlemen.
Questa è Euphoria, è una roba di LOL, uno show settimanale, non ho tempo di ascoltarmi, quindi l'ho ascoltato. Ciao Fede.
Also very disillusioned to the impossibly talented color casters. I didn't live in a hotel room with either of you for 3 months, but let me say, I thought you guys were like these always like legal, very formal, like good speakers.
Yeah, on camera.
I know.
Anybody that's watched at least one episode
Slap my ass on camera.
one person has watched Euphoria knows that Martin is not regal and needs it.
I didn't exist when I came.
I got buttons here, man. I got buttons on the side.
Fancy. Look at the butt.
It's actually when I hear your stories, and often I think about how a lot of shoutcaster came into it. Like, so you mentioned the grind, and I feel like I might have been one of the few who's managed to kind of jump past the having to grind freelance with no viewers and have to kind of like build yourself up from the start. So I'm obviously very lucky in that case.
That's because you're a former pro player.
Sure.
So that was your grind, right?
Yeah.
For us that didn't have the pro to
had to do
broadcast
that
thing.
Look, I would have done that if I could. I was just bad. So
my freelance, I broadcast Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday nights for the better part of a year. Between 6 and 12 hours every broadcast. I looked for every single cup or tournament that I possibly could. I had a friends list that was purely just challenger players that were like playing every single Go for LOL on Sundays, and I would beg and plead people just to let me spectate their games so I'd have content to cast, so that hopefully somebody would watch.
I remember this collegiate day. It was a 10-hour day for my caster and my co-caster.
Okay.
And they're like, are you good solo casting for 10 hours? It's like, oh yeah, it's fine. Like, no big deal. Now I'd be like, no, are you kidding me? That's insane.
We're broadcasting live. What do you expect me to say?
But see, that's why whenever people reach out for feedback on how to become a caster, I can't give you the story that these guys can in terms of where to start. I can be like, you should become a pro player, and then be on camera and retire.
Also, like, we get asked this question a lot, and I've given so many tips an answer, we've made so many posts. If you're asking, your head is in the right place, but instead of asking us, just start casting. Like, just start doing it. Put samples out there. Get out there. Like, I think every one of us as casters gets that question pretty regularly. The answer is always the same, which is literally you have to do it. Like, I know it's uncomfortable and it feels weird to put yourself out there when you're, like, maybe not 100% confident in what you're doing or that you're not going to get any viewers, but I will take the dude who, like, Cam Flower is a great example of this, of a guy who literally just did it because he loved it all the time with, like, not nearly like you had this grind and a steady rise of success. I had this grind and a steady rise of success. Captain Flowers went from like 0 to 100 in the space of 6 months just from grinding. And I think there can be a lot of similar success stories that people put themselves out there. It is difficult for sure, but it's possible.
Alright, and
So, for context today, we're gonna have this is gonna be a lot of trips down memory lane. We'll talk about our best and worst casting moments, kind of some history in the ULCS, the best finals, the best teams, experiences, personalities. And we'll round it all out, focusing in on the semifinals that are coming up this coming weekend: Vitality versus Schalke and Fnatic versus Misfits. So, a lot of history, a little bit of what's coming up. If you're interested at all in going back down memory lane, or if you weren't around for maybe what we could call the glory days, the wild, wild west of League of Legends esports.
No, I was thinking about that, and I think if you have fond memories of previous years, I think it's acceptable. You can call it glory days, but I think this year might go down as a glory year in retrospect. Like, it's super exciting, but when you think this is what, the 6th season in a row now, this is our 12th final coming up.
Yeah.
It's insane. And even more insane than to think that both Shocks and I have actually been on the broadcast since day one of ULCS. So I definitely feel like the grandpa when I walk around and speak to new players and new teams and new casters.
Alright, the first thing I want to start with, those best and worst casting moments from any time period, anywhere at all. You can start with your best or your worst. Now, I know you guys, you probably have some easy bests that come to mind. I actually don't have an easy best, but I have a really easy worst. So, okay, go first.
I can start with one of the worst ones. I'll put in 2 here. One was my opening day. You could ask for that.
Yeah, but I didn't.
I can talk and lift the water for you. So, it is week 1 of 2014 Spring Split ULCS. Okay, I gotta bring it back. I can still talk. Don't stop commenting. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so week 1 ULCS is about to start. 2014. There's a new caster in town. It's me. I'm sitting next to Joe Miller, and it's my first cast ever, outside of the couple of practice casts I've done with Trevor. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't really know what I was supposed to talk about. I said to Joe, just ask me questions, and that's it. So I didn't bring anything other than whenever he asked me something, and I obviously couldn't explain anything in terms of my language. I could obviously just talk about the game.
It sounded like you had a potato in your mouth.
People couldn't understand it. I remember the cast ended, and I was like, alright. I felt okay. I opened up Reddit and Twitter, and it's just like, I think it was like 5 posts or something already on Reddit of just being like, what is this? Like, get this man off air. Like, what's happening here? And my Twitter was just like, I got so many followers because people wanted to follow me because I was bad, so they couldn't blame me. Yeah, they couldn't blame me. And I was just like, wow, okay. This makes me very confident for the next cast. So yeah, I guess my opening day of casting was definitely my worst memory.
Also, shout out if you're a Deficio fan, and if you have messages from like 2015, 2014 on Twitter where you flamed him, please like clip those and be like, I'm an OG Deficio fan, and send them.
I actually would love it. Someone linked me the old Reddit thread that was created saying I was in a coma, but then the nurse turned on EULCS and I heard Deficio and I had to wake up and mute the TV. Someone linked me that one from like 3-4 years ago, and I was like, yeah, that was Twitch chat.
They definitely did the routes.
It did. Yeah. It was movement. Also, because wasn't exactly the guys that didn't banter.
He also did that broadcast day of every game of every week for about 2 years. People would remind Deficio that he was a failed pro, he was one of the worst supports, his team never won anything. There was a lot of insults.
There was a lot of it.
And it's quite funny because you actually see that, like, that joke.
I was in the middle of the table support. I just want to have that.
I remember, maybe like 1 champion.
Me and Freeze, we were good probably.
But I remember the jokes, there was even conversations about whether or not, like, man hates you doing stuff. Oh yeah, it kept burning. It was so much like bad stuff, but like, online, this is joking.
This is the best part. If you make a joke at someone else's expense on cast, they're like, he hates him. How dare he do that to him on air? He hates this guy. He doesn't want to see him ever again.
That's a fake laugh. He doesn't enjoy this. He wants to get out.
What was your second one? Did you have 2?
Well, that's a recent one.
Wait, that was the recent one?
No.
That was the recent
one. I have a recent one. I'm trying to think of another first one. That cast was funny now when you look back. The moment when you and me were doing the Fnatic Splice game. You remember this split? It was insane, excitement, Fnatic.
Oh, yes.
The percentage list. And yeah, we kept doing the percentages of like, oh my god, Fnatic have it, it's in the back, then they start losing, Spice comes back, and like, it's super hype, you know, it's going down. And the Elden Break, you know, Bronze takes it, and you ask me about percentages and things, and I just yell, 90% splice now, they got the Elder Drake, they're gonna push down mid, and I just talked about that for like 20 seconds, and then I stop and I look at Fnatic, I'm like, why are they glowing? Like, what's going on?
Broxah stole it.
I'm like, oh no, I even said Broxah took the Elder Drake, I had to like kind of like take it back, I said I'm so sorry, and it was like in the hypest moment of the game. That's how you ruin it, by the way.
Like trying to catch it, like, my guy's like, real quick, before the game ends. I didn't notice that.
I was in disbelief. I was like, wait, is he really saying that? He said Elder. I said Elder. And it's like, I didn't actually understand what happened.
That was definitely recent memory, one of the worst characters.
I mean, I go back to 2013 Worlds, also in Staples. I was hosting the analyst desk. And Super News is the biggest show I've ever worked on. And, it's a world final. And during the pre-show, we had a video package that was going to run, and the prompter's like rolling, and I don't know, I just completely brain farted, and it clearly was like, break line, run video, then carry on reading, and I just didn't stop. So I basically was like, yeah, and of course we've got this video coming up about something or other, and after that video we're going to carry on, and I just kept speaking. But the production team obviously were like, they heard the cue, they ran the video, I kept talking, nobody turned my mic off, the production team got super panicky, so they cut back, they like actually broke out of the video. By this point I've now realized that I've messed up, and I stopped talking, and I'm not being funny, and I'm so sorry if you're listening to this and not watching on YouTube, but I have this face. And they genuinely, they cut back, and then I'm sitting on camera for about 5 seconds with this awkward face, like up, and then they went back into the video, and that was like my biggest, like first year mess up, and it haunts me to this day. Absolutely
the sour lemon.
Yes,
like
sour lemon face.
Mine are much simpler because I come from the era where like production teams are ready for talent to mess up. They like had Trevor in 20, but they're ready. They will cut talent off at a moment's notice. Like, never again will we see this Trevor Lemon face on broadcast. Now mine was IEM Katowice last year, so H2K versus Flash Wolves. It's like almost entirely a Polish crowd, right? Yankos comes on stage, people lose their mind. Every time H2K does anything, people lose their mind. Every time H2K does anything, my energy is at 10. I am live, I am feeling it. Every time Bashful does anything, the crowd does nothing. I do nothing. I am so in tune with the crowd. It's like the most biased cast of my life. Thaddeus is getting all the hate and no one cares that I'm doing anything. But the win moment, and this is like a lesson that I've since learned from. But my win moment, when H2K's Nexus goes down is, oh no!
You have turned our curse into our strength.
When that happens, dude, you just get so wrapped up.
This is the first time I casted for such a clearly biased crowd for H2K, and I just was so not ready for it, and like, nothing else made sense to me. In that moment, the only thing in my head was, oh no, and it's the only thing I could say. There was nothing, no other words that could come out of my mouth.
Last year All-Stars, I forgot the LPL coach's name.
I remember that as well. You paused.
Dude, I panicked, right? Like, it just, I've never really lost a name like that before, because I love doing the stage intros. So we end up introducing all the players, all the teams, and going through it, and it's like, bam, 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 bam. It's like, player.
What to do?
And the name just goes. And it was the very, very, very last coach, and LPL were the last team to step onto the stage. And I just stopped. Dead silence. And I was just like, oh. Now, if you go, can you listen? You can hear I have so much energy, so much power, like all the things. And I was like, Firefox! Like, it's this panic burst.
You have the right man.
Thankfully, I didn't say the wrong name. Thankfully, I didn't mess it up. I go backstage and I'm convinced absolutely everybody's heard it. I'm convinced everybody's going to be like ripping me off or whatever. But you're so focused on other elements. You're waiting for the games or you're watching the teams or whatever. The only thing I got is this all caps message from Becca, my wife, going, oh, you forgot his name. You're so shit. I was just like, thanks, honey. That's exactly what I needed right now.
That's the thing, and I'm sure if anyone who listens or watches has production experience, kind of live broadcast production experience, I'm sure you notice a ton of mistakes that a lot of people don't, because now that I've worked in a production environment, you see everything. When the camera cue's a little wrong, when the graphic comes up a little late on any broadcast you watch, and so I see it now a lot more in like, regular TV in the day-to-day. When someone doesn't know their line and they get that panicky look in their eyes, you recognize it.
Yep, exactly.
It's also interesting because when you watch sports broadcasts, they're so often so much simpler in what they actually try and set up in terms of the casters and so on. Like it's typically there's the host and there's a couple of pro footballers or retired ones, and then there's the two commentators, and that's it. That's basically it. And like the Danish World broadcast or World Cup I was watching, is it the same shot of them sitting on a couch talking about the game, then it cuts to the commentators. You see the commentators for like 2 minutes, and then you watch the game, and that's it. So there's a lot less room for actual production mistakes and that, but they still do it. Like they cut to the wrong things
The
and
thing
so
is,
on.
there's a difference between like little production errors and then just blatant mistakes. So one that I don't really talk about a lot, and it is probably my most embarrassing mess up ever.
Was the first one.
Was the first time we were doing Worlds in Korea, and I was also hosting the analyst desk, and we were doing this like read tweets from fans moments.
Oh, you read the name wrong.
And yeah, but the thing is, I didn't just read the name wrong. It's what I said afterwards that was bad. So in the tweet that came up was this like Korean lady sitting with this little poodle.
Oh no, I remember that.
Eating dessert. And the tweet was along the lines of, I'm sitting with Mochi, my dog, eating Mochi, and enjoying Worlds. I don't know why I said the words go to the dog. I said those words. I read the tweets. And in my head, yes, she called the dog Mochi.
Engaging T-cell mental
The words
dislocation.
left my mouth, and I'm like,
You're not a cancer. Historical connotation means it's disgustingly wrong.
I sat and I hit the button to talk to my producers and the production team, and I went, I know I just messed up. I'm like, I don't know why, I don't know what. That's not funny. That's just, it's so dumb. And I just have so much regret. I think back, I can see the tweet, I see the graphic. And it just, it haunts me. It'll haunt me forever.
That was definitely.
That was worse than my first cast. I was gonna say that's rough. I was thinking my next one is we had a telestrator segment back when we did duo stream, and literally like every moment of your life as a caster was put a duo stream. You're like, so you're going over here now to do this thing that we just made up and decided to do to fill 2 minutes of time because we have no idea how to do this 2-stream thing. Yeah. For the first few weeks at least, we got it down by the end.
Yeah.
And I just remember finishing my telestrator. I felt confident. I felt good.
You asked for it.
And after like 15 seconds of it not leaving, rather than like continuing to speak or just holding still, waiting for the camera to cut away, I like held up my hands and went like. But to this day, it's brought up to shame me by you're my boss now, Trevor, but my boss's boss now.
I have one last one. It's not about casting on air.
I'm starting to remember a lot of it.
I know. The thing is, when you've done a bunch, but and this one's a little bit close to home. I farted on Deficio's mom.
Yes, he did. I didn't think you were going to bring that up either. But I actually remember that.
The old studio in Cologne, the caster desk, the camera would face us, like dead center, and the stage was behind us, and the audience would be looking at the stage. So if you're looking at the Euphoria set, that would be the LCS stage.
Yeah.
The fans would be sitting down directly behind, like Martin and I.
Kind of like how the NA setup is.
Very similar, actually. Yeah, very similar. So we had the headphones on, and I turned it a little low, and I didn't realize I'm just like mid-camera, and I'm like, but I have no idea. At the end of the day, Martin's like parents and brother and whatnot come backstage, they're hanging out, say hello, all very friendly, and then Martin just pulled me aside, like, so my mom said that Martin in the game and she heard it. Martin on it.
He literally sat at the last row, right behind the caster.
So she could talk to her son.
She could be close to her son of the cast.
Yeah, then that was an awkward moment.
That was definitely an interesting one. There's actually been a lot of also where
We have
it's
many
kind of your fault, but it's also a bit production fault. Do you guys remember when they rolled the wrong primetime league clip
Of you swearing?
of me swearing?
Yes.
It was after the movie I sweared a lot, and I've been kind of.
So just for setup, you'd sworn a bunch on broadcast,
And then I was like, I'm gonna stop swearing.
the way primetime leagues work is we would like pre-record our segments, and then we'd send it to the North American production team that would like edit it all together. So they just added the rehearsal clip,
Which was obviously really.
Wait, wasn't that the first time they ran Primetime League? It was the first time it just
It was
opened?
early, but I don't think it was very good.
It might have been one of the first
Really?
ones.
It
I think it might have been
was-
because we had to do an intro. You, me, and Shock being like, hey, we're from Europe. We're gonna be part of Primetime League, and we're gonna talk about the upcoming season. But the whole thing, wait, you said something, and then I started by going something like, yeah, and I say something wrong, and I go like, Yeah.
Oh yeah, they were in the, no, this was definitely like one of the first episodes. I remember watching the stream.
Yeah,
and I remember the start of the stream. I was like, what is this show? I was excited about this release. Where it starts, it runs, you swear, and then it stops, and then like 10 minutes later it starts again. And I was convinced it was like a viral marketing thing. Because like no one cared about Primetime League up until that moment because people didn't know what it was. In that moment where the fish show swear and everyone messed up, people were like, what is this show?
So apparently, from what I've been told by the producer, who's called Phil Winter, when it aired, and he noticed, like just before I said, my little swear word, he noticed this was the wrong clip, and he tried to run to like get to the people to stop it, but he didn't do it in time, and then it just goes like me saying it, and then they just instantly smacked the something went wrong, and team was standing there going like, we'll be right back. And I just saw, because I remember then my Twitter, obviously, because it was pre-recorded, so I didn't really pay attention at first, but then suddenly I just started seeing tweets going, I'm like, no, I was going to do less of this. The whole point was I was going to do less.
I don't remember the jokes at that time, because I think Joe and me or whoever was also saying that if you swear again, we're going to fire.
That was Joe. The first time I said it, which was
if you swear again, you're going to get fired. Yeah, and that was actually like a thing that got picked up, and people were like, oh, Deficio swore again, he's going to get fired. Like, he's so done so.
Swearing, man.
I actually don't think I've said the F word on broadcast. I've said shit, but I don't think I've said the F word.
I've said the F word a few times.
Probably at least. Yeah, you're double digits, I reckon.
I'm definitely double. I actually had one like this year.
I got told off by Carmack at IEM because I said Cloud9. They made me. I can't remember. They're playing so impressive and like holy shit, they're so.
Yeah, I remember it said holy shit. That was IEM.
Carmack came over and like really gave me a talking to, and he's like, you should not do that.
I think I've dropped a lot of subtle shits. I definitely dropped at least one F-bomb.
Yeah, but you remember the epic one? It was beautiful. If I remember.
It's removed from history. Yeah. It's removed from the history books.
No, actually, it doesn't exist anymore.
I saw a clip the other day where it was still there.
That was a stutter. That was beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful.
Nice tips.
Shall we turn to good moments? Because I still don't know if slapping you on the arse was a good moment or not.
I think it was a great.
I mean, it's a magical moment. But I look back and I'm like, why did I do that?
You don't remember?
No. The thing is, what I do remember is we had this there's this free camera, the ones that films the player reactions and stuff like that. And our director said, hey, the camera's gonna come from behind you and look at the cast.
It's always an awkward pose to stand in.
And Martin is a bit confrontational. It's like, well, this is weird. Why? And he's like, so can I bend over and show off my ass like I've been working out? And there's this like awkward pause. So everybody says no, and he's bending over.
It was looking like I was actually saying this to the screen. I wasn't just standing like that,
He said he wanted to show up his arm.
Yeah, but I wanted to look like I was.
We were hitting the gym good in that era.
Yeah, that was a good era. I had some good squats.
And while he's bending over, you get the countdown to like 5, 4, and I'm like, I'm gonna slap it. There's this voice in my head, this little red devil just pops up. It's like, slap his ass, and I really slapped his ass. Like there was no holds barred. And you were just like, well, okay, well, we'll go with this.
But that was not what his face told a very different story, which was, ooh. That's like a high quality moment. And God bless Jack. If you're ever watching ULCS and you have a particularly weird camera intro or camera angle or caption intro, that's all Jack. He's our director. If he could get one of those surgical cams that they stuff down your stomach, he would literally have a camera come out of my mouth and an opener just to turn around and look me in the face so I could introduce something. Like this man would do it. If anyone would volunteer,
I would
be horrendously.
That would definitely be something new. That's for sure. Great. I mean, if I'm going to do it again, I think that's pretty safe.
I mean, yeah, it won't happen again. Maybe. I'll never say never.
The ante continuously gets up, and I think we're all worried about what the next step is.
Yeah. I mean, it's been unfortunate. The bets have kind of overtaken us doing new stuff.
Also, we've got a creative outlet ready, check. So that's definitely helping.
Yeah, that's true.
But what would be one of your favorite moments?
My favorite moments.
Unleash me.
Okay.
So, easy one is 2015 spring. The final, Fnatic Unicorns of Love. During that year, or during that split, a lot of the sentiment from the community was that Europe was like super low level, and it was just like, how can Unicorns of Love, a cheese team, how can they make the final? It's so bad. I don't think people were too excited about the final before it actually started.
Yeah.
But once it started, and it was 5 games, and there were actually like were really entertaining games to watch, and people like really got into it, and people really like so many people started watching and caring about it. During that cast, a lot of good things happened. Trevor Kisman moment, which was completely random, but it ended up being super successful. Again, definitely not planned. I just saw a pip of a couple.
I choked. Like, I didn't know what to say because the little picture came up,
And then they started making
out
out.
like
Your magic shall not save you.
making out, like really good. And my brain froze. So the two of us are sitting casting, these two are making out heavily. And I'm supposed to say something, and I'm just like,
See, I thought production did it on purpose. It was like a kiss cam kind of thing. But I'm like, wait, why would we suddenly do a kiss cam? We've never done that before. So it's like, I have to say something.
You told me that the two that there's no way that was an act. Like the amount of effort it takes to get that up.
No, because it was actually just two people at first sitting and watching the game, but as soon as the camera broke up,
they started getting, like, legitimately, they were just like, they were just sitting really comfortable, nice. And then they showed,
oh yeah, and then they just go nuts, you know. And
Shout out to them. There's a camera. Let's go.
Well, he doesn't say anything. I'm like, first I'm like, oh, this must be on purpose, but then I just see it just gets pulled down, and I'm like, I should say something.
you know what? I actually don't think we've ever found out who that couple was. We're going back to Madrid. Like, we should actually find out who they are.
If they're there.
We should find out who they are and, like, recreate the scene.
Anyway, that was a moment.
Double date. That'd be great.
That was just random improv of like, I gotta say something. Trevor's not saying a word.
Yeah, I choked. I had no
React
idea.
to
I
what
just looked and I was so taken aback by...
Tomcat wasn't in the game yet. There was not nearly as many opportunities for sure as there are now.
That was a great moment though,
Well
because
done.
I didn't think it was that funny.
Your soul
But then seeing
shall
his
be
reaction to
mine.
it, was great.
I
And
am your
that final
nightmare.
was the first final me and Trevor casted together, because he obviously was a caller before, then he was play-by-play. And the reception after that split and after the final itself was so positive around us and ULCS that I will look back at that moment as like kind of the turning point of my career.
It was for me too.
And I think, I don't think I'll ever forget the Madrid final.
It's actually that was especially like how much negative perception there was and how huge
That was the split.
is.
I mean, that story that DeFisher was talking about, where from 2014 2015 we moved from Cologne to Berlin. Joe Melin did not join us, we were the only two casters at the beginning of the year. And then that was the split that turned it around and got everything going
In the
positive.
light's name.
It was awesome.
Can't believe that was so
Someone
long ago.
called.
I do want to get a little bit more into the history. You brought up that final.
But you guys have no good moments.
I guess I do. I should get one good
You
moment.
get one in there.
Yeah, one in there. My favorite. Oh God, what was my favorite moment? Nuke Duck rap. Nuke Duck rap video is pretty great. Actually, as far as highlight career moments go, I really enjoyed the Nuke Duck rap video. The semi-final, one of my favorite casts I think I've ever done. And in hindsight, it's actually probably terrible, but I still remember it very fondly. Was the H2K versus Splice semi-final. It was a tri-cast. And it was the game where the top lane matchup got ran back-to-back 5 times in a row.
The Nar versus GP?
It was Nar versus GP, and by the 5th game, we had literally nothing to say about it. We're like, why do they keep us? And like, game 2, we're like, probably needs to change his draft. Game 3, we're like, I guess it worked, but maybe probably should consider changing his draft. By game 5, we're like, you know what? Just pick,
It doesn't matter anymore.
just pick him the Nar or the GP. And like, I love that series itself was so funny and like so serious and intense, like actually serious, but also just every pick man was like a break of comedic relief because you knew that despite like wildly varied success, that it was gonna happen again. That someone was gonna pick Nar, someone was gonna pick GP. It's gonna get run back every single time.
I have one
Baby
tiny one
Meta.
before you go history.
Throw
2013,
versus
when I was
Budan.
color casting,
Your soul
and
shall
spell
be
names are the main thing,
mine.
I had to
For
break a
Doom.
bad habit that I would rhyme spell names and lines and sentences, and one of my most favorite, most memorable moments was an Elise ganking a Lissandra in the mid lane. And for anybody that is a legacy viewer and watcher will know that the way I yell the word cocoon, especially in game when I'm excited, in my accent is particularly loud. So anyways, the cocoon catches Lissandra, she casts Glacial Tomb, we were calling the E the Glacial Path, the Claw of Doom She was trying to land eye shots, but it went and I remember I was talking to her at the time and making fun of me for rhyming so much, and I just kept doing it. I look back and I go, why? Like, this is bad. This is not good commentary. But I just couldn't stop doing it, and I actually had to like train myself out of rhyming.
Remind yourself, folks, that Trevor Quickshot Henry is the original rap god. That it goes Eminem, and then Trevor Henry, and then the new era of rap god.
Exactly. The Draco.
You just had
DJ Cowbell.
DJ Cowbell.
I'm not a rapper. I'm not a rapper. It's important to highlight.
Il rap di Miz
It's gonna be there next time.
Molto
You're gonna
bello.
get it. So sad we didn't get it in.
History time, you brought up Unicorns of Love versus Fnatic. What is your guys' best EU LCS final ever? The one that got you the most excited?
The possibilities.
Why do you call?
Yeah.
Sì.
I think I enjoyed Fnatic Origin the most, but the Fnatic UOL with my first play-by-play final is more memorable. I distinctly recall Power of Evil Varus in the lane. Line to it, how excited I was with it,
and how people flamed it, and then LCK started playing
exactly. And it was kind of a turning point for PoE where he got respect because of that performance. So kind of definitely flash-based lap as well.
But that's the final and the semi-final.
It was semi-final. Yeah, it was semi-final.
So you can rewrite history. He was in the final.
But I definitely enjoyed this. That was my favorite.
So it's hard for me not to give it to Fnatic OG personally.
I mean, so Fnatic OG, a lot of it also just comes down to when I think back how the whole final ended up happening. Like, so many things had to go, in this specific direction for it to be a thing. So Fnatic was the best team in Europe, had won so many EU titles, and their star player, biggest name, was expected. Back in the day, Season 3, Season 4, even Season 2. Heck, even Season 1, he won the World Championship with it. He leaves Fnatic, creates his own organization, his own team, and they go from Challenger, qualify for the LCS in the summer split. They enter the summer split with this lineup that's super hyped up, but people are still a bit unsure because Sven, or Niels as he was called back then, 17-year-old rookie, we didn't fully know what was going to happen there. Maybe he had been out of the scene a bit and he had returned. So there's still a lot of questions, but they end up obviously being really, really good. And we get this path where we go into playoffs, and they end up on opposite sides of the bracket. So we're like, wow, we can actually get Fnatic versus Origin, Xpeke and Soaz versus the old team they just left to try and beat them and take the #1 spot in Europe from Challenger to first place, all that kind of stuff. And then we go to Stockholm, where Reckless obviously brings Fnatic, Swedish, and we get 5 games between Reckless Pentakill.
Was that the Tristana one?
It was the Tristana Pentakill. We get Huni versus Soaz, where Huni plays the rework GP, and then doesn't do too well. Soaz picks the rework GP, and no one hyped Soaz back then at that point. It was all Huni, and he just destroys him with it. And we get to game 5, and it's you, me, and Mitch casting it, and I was like really happy with the casting. Everything was going great, and I was like, this series is absolutely insane. You show clips of Madison and Martin also watching the final, like packed in there. We hit numbers of like 1 million, the Western viewers, and we go into the game 5. Fnatic is gamble on a 30-minute game comp, even though all the games were the anti-rumble. The anti-rumble one, and we've been like, no, what's happening? Every game has gone late. You need to draft scaling. But they play that comp, they get ahead, and we managed to make a call saying, now's the turning point where Fnatic is ahead. If they have to win this next fight, or Origin will outscale them. Take is on Azir, Sven is on late game carry. Like it's getting to the point where Origin will win. And just as we say that, like 10 seconds later, from what I remember, Yellow Star flashes over the wall, red camp to mid lane, at the red camp, smacks the tippers into the face of Xpeke, they kill Xpeke, they win the fight, and they finish the game. Just when we said, like, this fight, we lose this, you're probably done, Fnatic, and then they win, and obviously they go to World Origin, they get top 2, like, that final in itself, in terms of hype, stories, also actually in terms of the level these teams performed at, I think was absolutely insane. I guess 2015 had really memorable finals.
And see, the thing is I remember as a viewer watching that, I didn't buy into OG being able to take down Fnatic, and then they basically perfect game in game 1. And like seeing that was in macro, I like didn't believe it. I was like, this is like yes, like what are they talking about? There's like no way Fnatic is unstoppable. And obviously the rest of the games weren't nearly as clean, but when OG just like straight up had shown their prep, destroyed Fnatic in that game 1, I was like, oh no.
And it was
like
the
3-0 OG.
It was the 18-0 Fnatic seasons. That's obviously why no one believed.
Yeah.
Ah, what a final.
What was your favorite memory, Dracos? Because you were watching for longer, potentially longer than you've been casting. It's about 50 now.
Yeah, it's like 50. Oh man, it's really hard. I mean, I was watching for like the Faker Z outplay, right, which was insane. And like I didn't even fully grasp like 100% what's going down in that game, and that was like a really insane moment. But from EU specifically, guys,
little time.
Game, because that game, like that first perfect game in that final was one of the most memorable. Me, I think it's actually really hard.
See, the thing is, you got to think about it because, like, I also go back to the Gambit final of 2013 summer. Now, the reason I go back to that is spring. Sorry. The reason I go back to that was I was really excited about Gambit. They had transitioned from Moscow 5. I had been casting a lot of them in the previous year, 2012, in like the open circuits and 4PL hacks and whatnot. Really had a lot of fun casting the players. And the Fnatic organization goes way back in my Call of Duty days. They were there, like team, and I was a fan of the Call of Duty squad. They had a guy named Steve who was like the best player. So I was like, holy crap! Like, there's this one league that I got to cast, and one of my big breaks was casting Diamond Procs, playing Jungle's Jin Zhao in 2012 for the first time on stream, and he lost. They lost playing Jungle's Jin Zhao on some random team in a 4PL monthly. And then I got to do the final, my first LCS final with D-Man. And, Alex Sitch, Diamond, Gensha, just the legacy players that were super mega ultra stars back in the day. And that just like stuck with me. It's that feeling.
It's so weird because I went through this phase as a fan where like when people were talking about stars, everyone references M5, right? And I was a Shushay. So there was this awkward moment where EU, Shushay of Legends, season 1 or season 2? Season 1, season 2 era, like of both. So this is the guy that like a friend at some point when I was watching the game told me like this was like the guy to watch. Yeah. So like I believed wholeheartedly, and I watched Shushay. And then when like by the time Dragon Mars came around or whatever, I was like,
you have to go back. You have to go back.
So few viewers who know Shushay, I think.
At the end of 2012, ULCS was going to happen, and there was a qualifying tournament happening in Warsaw, Poland, which is where he was playing. Okay, and Bjergsen was too young to compete, so you're playing with a different mid laner. And there was two magical moments that came from this event. Now, the first and foremost was the Copenhagen was qualifying, and in the post-game interview with Carmack, talking to Deficio on stage, and so how do you feel you just qualified for the LCS? And I quote Deficio, yeah, we couldn't play with Bjergsen. Bjergsen's kind of our star player, and he said we weren't going to make it. So, Bjergsen, live on broadcast, and then he realizes, I probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah,
and then his whole face just kind of
goes. Oh, I feel real bad.
Then the second thing was Dragonborn, which was led by Shushay. They qualified, and Shushay and Hosad do a body slam because he's playing like AP Gragas or whatever at the time. And Hosad is this tiny little guy. Shushay is very big dude. He like cosplay Gragas by taking his t-shirt off. And he gives him a body slam. Hosad hits the ground, like KO. And you just hear D-Man burst out laughing. He cannot contain himself. You can hear tears running down his face. And that qualifying tournament was one of the first. I shared a room with Freak, actually. Throughout the casting event, and I shared a...
that was your trial?
That was my trial. That was... If I didn't do well at that event, I wouldn't have been hired for the LCS. And luckily, I managed to impress the right people.
Nice. There you
So,
go.
there's some golden oldies.
I'm trying to think about some big player moments of like a player entering where we went like, wow, that was insane. And Perks joining in 2016, with G2, where we looked at the G2 lineup and they made changes already since they qualified. And it was hardly a really excited about it. It was like, oh, they bring in Trick.
Also because the Gamers 2 roster that had attempted to qualify had failed like 3 times.
Yeah, exactly.
So they eventually made it in. And we were just like, okay, you're finally here, but I'm not. And then
so like, they get Trick, who wasn't a very known Korean player at all. They have this 17-year-old mid laner in Perks and that hybrid Ford
An Emperor.
yeah.
Career has been like
Definitely going downhill.
touring minor regions after.
And Kick is top lane. Former jungler Kikis was top lane.
Yep.
You look at that lineup on paper and you go like, yeah, this is not gonna do that much. But like from week 1, it was just like the Perks and Trick
show. Yep.
pick assassins and graves, jungle and whatever, and just like destroy everyone. And we were just like, what? Like this is actually insane. And I think within like a week or two, we were on the Perks and Trick hype train.
Yep.
And they rode it all the way to the final. They beat Origin, the old guys, you know, on Origin's side. And did not make the final. And it was just like, okay, we got some new style players here. And we all ended up winning 4 in a row and first one all of them. So that was definitely a new star being born right there that we did not expect.
No.
To look that good.
And at the same era, you talked about the Fnatic Origin, and that was the year Origin went from Challenger to World semifinals, and then the following year was World semifinals to relegation.
Yeah.
And Rocket Origin, dude.
Oh my god,
Oh, 10 Clown Wars. Both teams were 0-13, if I recall correctly. We had 2 group system, best of 2s.
Gul'dan.
Somebody had to win.
Somebody had to win.
shall be
But not only did one team absolutely have to win and break the 13-game losing streak, if I recall correctly, but Nahyun had been on like a 27 or 28.
They never won a competitive game.
Because he'd lost every single game that he played in the LSPL before coming to EULCS, and then he lost every single game in EULCS. And after an 18-minute game where I don't know how many inhibitors were killed,
The first one, yeah.
nobody could kill,
God.
nobody could beat one another. We actually had like clown hats and confetti, and you know, we went a bit.
I was ready. That was great.
Dude, the best part when I think back, or one of the best part was the jungler on Rocket was Maxlore. Like, how much has changed for him? Because in that game, he picks Lee Sin.
Hang on, was that with Kyonan and Wadid as well? Were they on Rocket yet or not?
No. That was
Yet? I can't remember. I'll have to
You have to go find your roster.
I gotta look up the roster.
Rocket. The thing is, Rocket changed the roster so much.
I just remember Maxlore picks Lee Sin. And I'm like, oh, okay, if you pick Lee Sin now, you need to make something happen. And it took him 47 minutes to score the first kill for his team. And he did nothing. He just ran around the river again and again and again. I was just like, so unbelievable to watch. I am fairly certain we had like 2 or 3 kills while like
That was an atrocious game of League of
it was the worst competitive game of League of Legends I've seen in Europe.
Back and Rays.
Oh, Rays.
That's a
Who was their top laner?
Harang.
Oh, that was the dude who could only play Echo. That guy was sick.
Yeah.
I like that guy.
Who's the mid laner?
Betsy.
Hey.
Betsy, okay,
There
yeah.
you go.
Betsy.
Back in the day. Back in the day. I have an off-game memory, which I really remember. I don't know why I'm doing like legacy. I guess we're talking history. But 2013 summer, I think we opened one hat and then immediately flew to Moscow,
You
to Russia.
have no idea
And
what
we
I'm
did a
capable
show
of.
in Moscow in a cinema.
You face Jiraxxus.
And it was hot as it was so hot. It was uncomfortable, sweating, it was terrible. And the caster setup actually wasn't too different to this desk, but what we had was in a small space, the analyst desk area was facing a camera, and then the camera would rotate, and then the caster would then face the analyst. At the end of the game, who was RNM playing for? Was it alternate? I think it's some of that alternate attack. They just won a game. RNM, we won a interview. He comes upstairs. Myself and Dima were casting, and then on the analyst area was Joe Miller and Jason Kaplan. Now, it was so hot that in order to deal with the heat, we took our shoes, socks, and pants off. And we cast in our underwear and our shirts. Okay, so we just sat like this, and we just had everything above the table, just shirts, tie, jacket, but no pants on. Renee gets up, he sees Joe Miller and Jason Kaplan and sitting with nothing on, and he just drops his pants. No questions asked, no context given. He's just like, oh, this is what's happening? And then drops his jeans.
This man understands the dress code,
And
is
then
what you're
he
telling
sits
me.
in between Joe and Jason. there's the entire interview, and then Jason Calvin tried to do a couple of jokes about, he'd trip over his pants, or like he tried to do a few like subtle jokes, and we were a little bit cringing at, like, no, dude, don't give it away. But I just fondly remember Aranea going like, this is the plan, I'm on board.
One of the worst events, by the way. I have so many stories from that trip to Moscow. I'm not even sure if half of them are suited for this podcast. I can definitely say that we could hear the casters in the first couple of...
Oh my god.
But their casters were in Russian, so we obviously didn't know what they were saying, but I think we were playing Gambit or something, and we were like, hang on, this needs to change. That wasn't good.
Alright, Fishio, we have time for one more memory before we start talking about the upcoming segment.
Yes, I have one. I said first before. Well, I was gonna say another player. Okay. Caps joining the LCS, and us actually kind of making people mad at him and us.
Yeah.
In the very first week or two he played, because when Caps joined the LCS in 2017 spring, we had been told by the other players that this guy was like insane. Like, we are talking a level above almost every player in Europe in terms of just pure mechanics.
Faker.
A bit like Faker when
But
he
younger.
joined. Yeah. But younger. And Faker was already there. And the pro players at the time called him Baby Faker when they talked to us. So, we get to cast the first game, and it's immediately in, I think, Fnatic and G2.
It was, yeah.
And he solo kills Perk. You know, the famous rise under the turret where he's like almost dead, but then he flashes and snares him on the turret. And because we felt like this would be a good opportunity to introduce Baby Faker, he just killed Perks, the best mid laner in Europe. We obviously say it. We're like, oh, Baby Faker. We never give the context of the pro players call him this at first. We just call him Baby Faker. Yeah. And everything in that Reddit thread after was just people being mad that we called him Baby Faker. How dare we compare Caps to Faker, and we're overdoing it, we're killing the narrative, all these kind of things. And obviously, it was a bit of a meme, but then it ended up being, pretty dumb. It was just when I look back at it, like, we actually took this player who entered the scene looking absolutely fantastic, and we made people mad at us, and also kind of mad at him, I think. Because we said Baby Faker, and like, we obviously...
You should have waited. If you came in a year later, 2 years later, if you came in this year, people would have been like, alright, yeah, fine.
It was too early to obviously call him, but it was a joke on what the pro players called him, but we never said that. We just called him.
We didn't give enough context for it to make sense.
So it ended up being bad, but like, Caps joining obviously was a big thing, and same with Reckless when he joined back in the debut. First place.
It was huge, but also because he had that legacy.
Yeah, he'd already been a
player from wasn't IPL, was it?
IPL 5, yeah.
IPL 5 in Vegas, exactly, right? So, he came in with that history,
even though he was a rookie.
He had an established record of being good in the public eye. Yeah, Caps had an established record of being good in the professional eye. But pro players...
no one had any idea. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
Now people can see it, though.
Yes.
I've seen people use it.
See, we were ahead of the curve.
We tried to do the Teenage Faker one that I found hilarious.
Yeah, you found hilarious. It died.
I think nobody
carries it. He's grown up. He's teenage.
We said it in Summer Split.
This is how you know that the show's getting old, because he laughs at his own jokes like Teenage Faker, and actually has resentment that the rest of us don't laugh with him. So true. Yeah.
I think you are a great ref.
You're a bitter old man. Alright, speaking of Teenage Faker, Young Adult Faker, Fnatic playing Misfits this Saturday. I think Misfits, I'm going to say surprising me. You were one of the few people to fish who actually predicted them. This is not an opportunity for you to pat yourself on the back, just making it clear that you didn't believe in them.
What did Trevor Quickshot?
I predicted G2.
Yeah, I predicted 3-0.
3-0? Oh, you like Vedius?
Yeah, because I thought someone's going to win with a 3-0, and I didn't think it was going to be Misfits.
Dude, I thought there was so many problems in the Misfits camp based on their inability to get better in 3 or 4 weeks of regular season. I also underestimated the patch buff that they were going to get significantly. So I really thought that the problems they had to overcome, and then my underestimation of how much the patch was going to help them, surprised me. But on the same token, the patch helped Misfits and hurt G2.
Oh yeah, it really hurt.
So you have to factor all those things in together. And after all of the talking that we did, especially in the pre-show and ready check, when that first pick Alistair was locked in, you looked at me and grinned, and I just went, "Yep, I messed up. Misfits are gonna win the series." Like it's just that's all the signal I need to believe it.
And to be fair, I had 3-2, so I thought it actually was gonna be really close. Like game 2 was kind of how I expected most of the games to end up looking, where G2 were actually able to kind of match a lot of what Misfits did, but they would only be able to good enough to actually beat them in some of the games, and then they would hard lose early game in some of the other ones. But obviously, when Misfits won that game 2, where for the first time, or one of the first times all split, they actually came back from a deficit, and they played pretty cleanly around Baron in that second game from behind, kind of always winning fights for like 1 kill here and then forcing G2 back, and they got into the late game, and Hans Sama was like dealing 1 million damage. The moment they won that game, I tweeted like, this is 3-0 now, because Misfits can actually beat you late game, and they've always thought they can win early game if they draft for that in the first game. G2 are not
now,
winning this.
the next test is going to be more difficult, because G2 are, Fnatic are stronger in late game than G2 have
in early game.
And I just don't know how Misfits going to match up. But if there was any team that could take Fnatic down, I think it is Misfits. They did it last year. I think it's a team that prepares very well. And look at how they come into best of 5. Look at the creative solutions that this organization has done, even with different players, last year and this year, when they come into those best of series. How the hell do you prepare for Whippo, Soaz, Reckless, and what position?
Also, let's just be clear here. They picked Malzahar twice.
For the Cooks.
For the Cooks.
Dude, Samsung
Caps
Galaxy
is going to eat him.
Samsung Galaxy won the World Championships with a mid laner that played Malzahar, etc. Like Control made boring. If you can win a World Championship with a weaker mid laner, then Misfits can take down Fnatic with it.
Okay, but Crown versus what was Crown versus Faker, right?
Yeah.
It's very different from Senkux versus Caps, dude.
No,
call
it's
it,
the EU
Teenage
equivalent.
Faker.
It's the EU equivalent. I mean, it's Teenage Crown versus
It's actually, the comparison actually worked. Does it really work? Because Crown was like really good for a while.
Yeah, but it wasn't that World Championship. Like, Crown lost almost every lane, which is why he had to pick Malzahar.
You know who else loses lane a lot, especially in the second half of the summer splits?
I mean, the comparison actually works in terms of what the role is on.
And that's why I believe it. That's why.
Alright, but here's my concern, right, for Misfits, is that for the first 4 weeks, they looked unstoppable, right? They were a beautiful, wonderful team. And they looked very much like they looked against G2, where they looked almost infallible, outside of some very aggressive things we could say, for sure. Definitely risk throwing a few times.
I mean, they were like, we won this game over.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the second crack started to show it all. They just immediately nosedived, like hard nosedived. And so I'm worried now about how strong this Misfits lineup actually is going to be relative to Fnatic, and if they just run over Fnatic in the early game, like we did see them do pretty consistently against G2, right? Are they just going to collapse in the same way again?
It's going to be, obviously, it's going to be way harder. One of the big reasons is Fnatic are not getting hurt by this patch. So, like the Tom Kench nerf was bad for what he did. Hylissang Tom Kench? Not really.
You're actually excited if you're a Fnatic fan. Hylissang is not allowed to play
You
Tom
are,
Kench.
yeah, exactly. So, like Alistar, Pyke, these kind of things. Well, hello, I have Hylissang on my team.
So the two players, or the two lanes that I'm going to be watching most, first and foremost, can Alfari do to Soaz or Whippo what he did to Wonder? Because that was brutal. Like, I mean, Wonder walked away with like pie on his face. And secondly, can Hans Sama undo some of can Hans Sama like step up to Reckless as well in the bottom lane the way he's doing? We don't know, but I mean, we can assume Reckless will play at least a game. Sure, that's my guess, right? And I would love it if in that game, Hans Sama steps up and like, I'm not going to do it again, and just trade things. Because that is an exciting matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we have to expect Reckless now that it is almost only 80 carries being picked.
That's why I think
so. If Reckless is playing